voice like rain on an old tin roof brings stories alive with a soothing truth. In pages he weaves a world so light. The stars lean close to kiss the night. His voice lulls hearts in restless mind, lost in tales where dreams unwind. The book feather reads as shadows rise. His words are calm as lullabies. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the stories tide. Relax and let the world subside. 1,000 accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Worlds collide in his gentle tone. A whisper makes you feel at home. Each line he shares feels like coming back to a hearth of words in the silent black. From novels deep to poems that sway, he reads the night into the day. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the stories tide. Relax and let the world subside. 1,000 accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Across the oceans the stories tide. Relax and let the world subside. A voice like rain on an old tin roof brings stories alive with a soothing truth. In pages he weaves a world so light. The stars lean close to kiss the night. His voice lulls hearts in restless mind, lost in tales where dreams unwind. The book feather reads as shadows rise. His words are calm as lullabies. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the stories tide. Relax and let the world subside. 1,000 accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Worlds collide in his gentle tone. A whisper makes you feel at home.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Giggity. All right.
Seems quiet. Too quiet.
I'm Batman. Gotham is never safe without me.
What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Okay, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You can attach towers? Shut up. Impromptu performance this evening, which I must say was indeed a welcome distraction. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You're very kind.
This is gonna be funny.
Hi. How you doing? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you, Kat, for your resub. Oh. Let's add one to the counter. Now we're at 9. Should probably do some of those. And let's do a spin to see if you win. Man, that was close. That was so close. The volume on your intro had me thinking there was something wrong. Was it too quiet? Or too loud? Super quiet. So you're talking about this.
Like rain on an old tin roof, bring stories alive with a
Huh. All right. Interesting. We'll have to, well, you know what? We're gonna fix this right now because it's helpful when I get your feedback. It's too quiet, but you sound fine though, the whole intro. Okay, so hold on. So the desktop audio hasn't changed, but what I'm gonna do is bump up the song itself.
bring stories alive with a soothing truth.
How does that sound?
Pages he weaves a world so light. The stars lean close
Let me know if that's better. Or if it needs more. Maybe.
His voice lulls hearts in restless mind, lost in tales where dreams unwind. The book feather reads as shadows rise. His words
Any
are
better?
calm as
A little more?
lullabies. So turn the
Pages and close your eyes.
float where the quiet
Whispers lie.
across the oceans, the story's tide. Relax and let
I'll do, yeah, I will bump it up a little bit more now that I know, yes. I'm switching to my phone because I think my headset jack is messed up. Oh no. That's better in my opinion. You can still talk over it just fine. Cool. I mean, my intention is not to talk over it, right? But yeah. Either way, don't need that plugged in. So yes, the clips as well. We just can't please you, can we? I'm just kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Seems quiet. Too quiet.
Okay. So I've bumped up everything. Thank you for letting me know. I don't know why it's suddenly quieter. It's kind of weird. So yes, the getaway was fun. You know, we did the Science Museum, we did the Field Museum, Shed Aquarium. We went to a Chicago Sky game for the WNBA. We ate food. I got to meet Taco. For anyone that knows who Taco is, one of our streamer friends, because he lives in Chicago. The traffic was dumb. I swear, people that drive in Chicago, they just make up their own rules. Traffic lights, merely a suggestion. Painted lines, an inconvenience. Unbelievable. Like, just insane. I don't know how anyone lives there. I really don't. Cool place to visit. Kinda. I'm glad we did it, right? I've always been curious about going to the places that we went to. But I don't see myself rushing back anytime soon. Thank you, Chicago. It's been real. I'm writing a story and you weirdly just sounded like one of my characters. Is it weird though? Is it? Savages, you're not wrong, Renato, in some way, shape, or form. Everyone we spoke to was really nice. But if you were to match their friendliness to their driving, I wouldn't have connected the dots. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going? You having a good time? Move out of the way. Anyway, right. Let's click the wheel of gains and do a couple of workouts before we get into the reading, shall we? Yes. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
No weight squats x10.
Okay. First one is no weighted squats times 10.
Push-ups x5.
Push-ups. Glad you had a good time though. Thank you. Yeah, I mean it was worth the trip, you know? It was worth it. All right. 5 push-ups, 10 just basic squats. We can do this. Do the push-ups first. I don't know if you'll be able to see me very well, but I went too far back on the 9th one. Sound and look like Arnold. I mean, the man's pretty old now, so I'm sure a lot of stuff is sagging. So in that respect, yes. Yeah. Oh. Here's your puzzle for tonight, by the way. It's a bar. Figured a bar would be a good, a good option. Let's see. What else do I need to address? We'll be streaming on Tuesday like usual. We will be trucking on Thursday, and I will be wearing an outfit for that. I will be dressed up for the truck simulator stream. But, to go with that, after stream on Thursday, in my Discord, we will be continuing our read of... Just grabbing the cover. Come here, you piece of paper. You will not defeat me. We will be continuing our read of Onyx Storm in Discord. We haven't read from this in a while. I don't even remember what we left off on, to be honest. But that's where we're gonna continue reading. So that'll be at about 8 o'clock-ish Central Standard Time, CST. So like 2 hours from now. Don't play with my heart. I'm not. Don't go play with my heart. So Thursday night, stream first, then reading or continuing to read Onyx Storm in Discord. If any of you wish to join the Discord, all you need do is click this. This is a link. Okay? Okay. I'm glad we got that figured out. I shall now take my first sip of tea. The tea is amazing, but not as amazing as purple. Thank you so much for the resub. I just did my 2 workouts. In fact, where is the counter? I have lost it. Oh no, it's at the top of the page. I'm fine. I didn't remove them, so I'll just remove 1, because I would have removed 2 and then added 1. But I don't need to do that now. The link has been clicked. Well, wonderful. Happy to have you. This is for you, Purple. My fingers are crossed. You're about 100 pages off, but gosh darn it, thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you. One of my mods, folks. So yeah, we're gonna keep reading Tennessee Wishes tonight. When we're done, we're gonna switch over to a classic.
Oh, I got back on. I got back on. I got back on.
Oh man, I haven't played that game in forever.
I got this.
I bet you got just pulled back into the water right then, didn't you? Yeah, we're gonna do a classic of the Sherlock Holmes variety, and I'm gonna let y'all pick. So stay tuned for that. Red was behind, yeah, so that's pretty much a guarantee. Okay, good. Well, gosh, folks, I've missed you. I'm super glad to be back. Thank you for being here. Please get comfortable. Puzzle if you wish to puzzle. RPG if you wish to do that, or don't and just chill. I mean, you know, whatever you need to do. Tonight we're starting from chapter 50 on page 238. Or crocheting, exactly. Or as I like to say, crocheting. Our chapter tonight starts out from Owen Lane's perspective. I'm here for the Marble Oasis. Oh, and Renato wants me to do Bane's voice. Okay, hold on. So that's how we're going to start tonight. Well, gosh, what the heck? Why is that buried? Hi, everybody. Nox Bunny of Doom. Thank you so much for the raid. What were you doing? This bed we made. Not this was the bed we made. Thank you so much for the raid. how do I owe this pleasure? Did someone set you up for this? Did they lure you in here? Is that what's going on? Thank you so much. Just Jen, hello? It's Jen. It's just Jen. The big Nox. Nope, I lured people here to you. Well, my gosh, thank you so much. You have big expectations. Well, shit. I'm just about to bane it up here because we had a redeem before, right as I was about to start reading, that I need to read in the voice of Bane. So that's the plan. Mama House recommended you. Well, my gosh, isn't she just adorable? I will have to thank her, and thank you for raiding so much. I mostly read. That's my main thing. And then on Thursdays we play a game like American Truck Sim or Helldivers, something like that. You also drive trucks? I do. Not very well, but you know, I try. Let me just dress up as Bane here for a second. Ah. Man reads and drives, and sometimes at the same time. Yes. All right, then. Chapter 50. Owen stood for a moment to catch his breath. He was about to turn around and head back to Toby when Gunnar let out a sharp bark. Mad Locust, hello. What's the matter, boy? Owen asked. The dog's deep brown eyes locked onto something in the darkness. The darkness. You were merely molded by it. I was born in it. His head cocked as he nudged an object on the asphalt with his nose. A soft, yet determined push that made Owen pause. It would be painful for you. Owen approached slowly, his boots crunching lightly on the gritty pavement as he knelt. The object Gunnar had discovered was small and bright, almost out of place in the darkness of the alleyway. It was a bright pink rabbit's foot. He frowned, recognizing it immediately. He'd seen it before, hanging off of Dorothea's tattered backpack. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Redeem. It's always good to bring out the Bane. Now I have to remember how to do a southern accent. It must have fallen off, Owen said to no one. Gunnar sat at attention, his posture tense. Owen's eyes flicked between the small charm and the direction Dorothea had gone. 5-star? Thank you so much. Thank you. Owen held the rabbit's foot in his palm, his mind running through the options. He could return to Toby and head home, or finish what he started. He glanced down at Gunnar. What do you think, boy? You want to help track her down? Gunnar gave a low whine, his tail swishing in the faint light. His focus was clear. He was ready. Owen thought of Detective Lockhart and what he would think if he knew of what they were about to do. He probably wouldn't be happy, but did it matter? He was following Dorothea, not Ava. If this worked, if they could successfully find Dorothea with this trinket, maybe Detective Lockhart would let Gunnar try to find Ava. Or he could head straight to the concrete plant and search for Ava, take the risk, and try to find her before it's too late. But still, the thought made him hesitate. Dorothea's warning echoed in his mind. Only I can get in. The streets, the maze of alleyways around that place, it wasn't safe. What if he got spotted? She said that he would be easily exposed. What if he lost his way and got trapped in some dead-end corner with no one around to help? He'd be useless to Ava. Completely exposed, or worse, he might put her in more danger. That was the last thing he wanted. The task at hand seemed the best option at the moment. Find Dorothea and have her take him to Ava. After all, she knew her way around. And Owen glanced at the rabbit's foot. He could feel the pressure mounting on his decision. The weight of everything he held dear was right here in the palm of his hand. If it could lead to Ava, he had to try. Bending down, he held the furry pink item out to Gunnar, let him sniff it, and then gave the command. There was no hesitation. Gunnar was already on the trail, with quiet determination at every step. It was like the world itself had shifted into motion. The chase was on. Amlas, hello. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, lovely to see you. Owen followed the dog, his pulse pounding. There was no turning back now. Whatever this path led to, it would be the difference between everything he had feared, a dead end, a loss, or everything he could still hope for. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a very quick chapter 50. So for those of you that are coming in new to this, which is basically everyone that came in for the raid, which again, thank you very much. I'll give you a quick kind of rundown on what's going on here. So this girl, Ava, she moved to Tennessee, which is why the book is called Tennessee Wishes. She wishes to be a singer on stage, and she just happened to meet this guy, Owen. But her move to Tennessee came at a very difficult time, as there happened to be a serial killer on the loose. And sure enough, Ava went missing. She's not the first, though. There have been 4 or 5 other victims that have come up head down in the river. Drowning. Death. Despair. And so Owen is fighting the clock to go and find Ava. Thank you for the follow. Just Jen. I appreciate it. Oh, yes, 90 seconds on the clock, by the way, if you want to join the race. So this is something we do in between chapters. We take a quick pause, we talk about the chapter, we talk about life, whatever, and then we do a marble race to have fun. And then, as you may have seen from what Amlas typed in, there is a little RPG game that you can play. Yeah, Jen, not follow. Thank you, follow. Jen's here. And then if you type !puzzle, you can also do the wrong way. You can do this puzzle right here, which is a community puzzle, which means any and all peoples can get involved and help finish it. So yeah, there's a quick tour. Oh wow, so colorful. It's like a real water slide. And there's 4 different paths. The destiny. Choose your path wisely, grasshopper. Cool place you have here? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if you stream or not, just Jen, but I just followed. And we're off. Amlas has taken the green and blue path. It's gonna be tricky to tell who's in first place, because, well, you could be on a different slide. Whee! This morning, the fam and I went to go see How to Train Your Dragon in the theaters. Was pretty good. Gerard Butler, of course, does an excellent job with his role. Soon, waiting on better internet speeds this summer, hopefully. Oh, awesome. I really enjoyed the animated movie when it was first released, so I fully expected to enjoy the live action, and of course, it was great. Definitely worth checking out when the time permits. Of course, there's still one movie I haven't seen yet that I really, wow, okay, almost dropped my lid. That I really want to see, and that is the second Mission Impossible Reckoning. I forget the official title. That's some good tea. And I still haven't seen that movie. Well done, Cat. Perfect. And of course, I came in last, which is fine. I'm not sad about it or anything. But anyway, now we shall move on to chapter 51. Now, Ava, who has been kidnapped and is on the chopping block, so to speak, I has smooth, slippery ball. Do you now? Did you put some massage oil on it? Okay. Focus. Ava's the one that's has been kidnapped, and chapter 51 is from her perspective. Well, now that you mention it, I just happen to have some right over here. Oh, Jen, you have no idea. The amount of spicy content that I have read from books on this channel is, well, page 240. It's almond scented. Would make my balls smell like a nut. I guess it would, yes. Pretty much. He was gone. Ava couldn't see, her eyes still reeling from the harsh light. She fought to stay alert. There had to have been something in the water because she could barely stay awake despite the urgency to escape. It didn't help that the room was warm and dark and had grown eerily quiet after he left. Time was an elusive thing in this vast blackness. It was fragile, yet all-consuming as the minutes ticked by, seconds seeming like hours, hours feeling like days, and reality hopeless. How long he would be gone, she didn't know, but the need to work fast consumed her as if she balanced a tightrope between sleep and awake, death and life. She could tell the binding was getting thinner. She had felt it tear when he had hit her, jerking her entire body. She had remained calm and gave him no reason to check her wrists. Her brain scrambled to hold on to a cognitive thought as sleep tried to overtake her. Escape. She mentally grabbed the thought like it was a beacon in the dark. Her fingers, excuse me, her fingers, slick with sweat, fumbled with the knots, but she was determined. She had to get free before it was too late. Every moment felt like it was stretching longer than the last. The rope was getting weaker. She could sense it, feel it, even before the sharp snap of fibers started to give way. "Hello?" She called out into the dark room as she worked. "Can you hear me?" There was a sound from across the room, like fabric rustling or someone shifting position. She worked her wrists against the rope again, testing the give in the strands. She was close. Another minute, maybe two. If she could only get the last cord to break, the rest would fall off easily. But time was something she couldn't afford. His footsteps echoed through her mind like a countdown. Each moment he remained gone, another chance slipped away, the closer to his return. Once again, Ava's voice broke the silence. "Is someone there?" The sound of it in the boundless quiet startled her initially, but she forced herself to sound confident and steady. She needed to know who else was in here. Was she alone? Had he been playing her? Was someone else trapped in the black with her? Her heart rate picked up. There was a rustling sound, a soft shuffling, the kind of noise someone makes when trying to stay still but not quite succeeding. It was across the room, too far for her to reach, but close enough to send a ripple of tension through her body. She held her breath, listening. "Can you hear me?" she asked again, a little louder this time, trying to draw out a response. The voice inside her head screamed that she had to be ready for anything at all. She strained against the ropes, her fingers twitching, working faster. The rustling sound shifted again, followed by a low, almost imperceptible exhale. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up. Someone was there, and they were awake. The only question now, were they friend or foe? She tensed, every muscle in her body coiled tight as she waited for the next sound, the next move. The silence between them stretched on, thick with uncertainty. "If you can hear me, please answer." There was a soft moan. "Good. That's good," Ava acknowledged. "I'm tied up. Are you?" She didn't expect an answer, but now that she had started talking, she couldn't stop. "Can you tell me your name? Are you hurt?" "Yes." The word was so soft, barely a breath of air had escaped lips to create it. But Ava imagined it had cost the person on the other end of it everything they had to utter. "Okay, if it hurts too much to talk, you don't have to right now." She wanted to tell the person she was almost free, but she feared that if she did and he came back, they would tell him she was loose to save themselves. She had to free herself first, and then go from there, one step at a time. She felt another strand break. The final string between her and freedom fell away. A wave of relief washed over her, making her almost giddy. She moved her aching arms and brought them around to hug herself, trying to get the feeling and circulation back into them as her entire body tingled with the new rush of blood. She untied her legs with shaky hands and staggered to her feet. Feeling like a newborn colt, she could not get her footing. Her first instinct was to go for the door. She knew what direction to go from the pole, but feared she might not find it if she ventured into the dark odyssey around her. She took a step toward the door, but her conscience took hold. "Where are you?" she murmured into the stillness. "Please, I can't see anything. You have to say, or I might not be able to find you." Silence rang out, and she cursed. Why was she wasting precious time? "Where are you? Can you answer me?" "Here. I'm here." The voice was barely above a squeak, but Ava's ears were so in tune with the silence that she pinpointed her immediately. Like a bat with sonar, she honed in on the voice. Stumbling forward, waving her arms, she moved with caution. After only a couple of steps, she ran smack into metal. "Ouch!" she swore, stumbling back. Her hands instinctively reached out to steady herself. She winced, rubbing her knee where it had connected. Her hands snaked out, making quick work to decipher what she hit. "It's a car," she uttered. At some point, she had been aware that it was there, seeing the outline in the fragile light. But now, with her mind frantic, the long hours in the dark were all blurring. Her pulse quickened. How perfect it would be if there were keys in the car. She tried the handle, but it was locked. She pressed her face to the car window, but couldn't see anything. She went further down the vehicle, discovering it was a four-door sedan. You have to go, my internet keeps coming out. Sorry, Kay. I know that sucks when that happens. I hope you have a good night, though. Quickly now, she edged around the car, hoping for a miracle. To her dismay, she found all four doors locked. She couldn't waste more time on the car. She needed to find the other woman and escape. "My name is Ava. I need you to keep talking so I can find you. We need to get out of here as quickly as possible." "Ava?" the woman questioned with a scratchy voice. "Ava Morgan?" "Yes? How did you know?" She stretched her hand out instinctively, hoping for some sign of what lay ahead. Her cracked fingertips brushed against a metal pole, cool and unyielding, its surface rough and marked by time. It felt so much like the one she'd been bound to only moments ago. The memory of the ropes biting into her skin flooded her mind, but she pushed it away, focusing instead on the tactile sense of relief that came with this familiar texture. She slid her hand down the pole, searching for anything that could offer more clarity. Her fingers paused when they encountered something soft and warm. Her heart skipped as she moved her hand further, sensing long, tangled hair. Beneath it, fabric, then a bony shoulder. "There you are," she whispered, the words tumbling out in disbelief and relief. Ava," came the voice. It was shaky and hoarse, thick with emotion. "It's me, Molly." So there's the answer to our question, folks. Molly. Her friend that she had been trying to get in touch with ever since she moved to Nashville had also been kidnapped. She is there in the room. The name hit Ava like a wave, overwhelming her with a rush of panic and confusion. Her heart lurched painfully in her chest as she suddenly found herself tethered to something much larger than her fears. Molly? How could it be? Ava's mind raced, thoughts crashing into one another as she tried to process the voice, touch, and overwhelming recognition sensation. She wrapped her arms around her friend and heard Molly sob. Oh, Malls, don't cry. I've got you. Trying to control her emotions, she said, We've got to get out of here. She felt her friend's head bob. Without another second of hesitation, Ava's trembling hands moved down Molly's arms and to the back of the pole, desperate to find the rope that held her in place. Ava's fingers shook violently as she fumbled at the stiff and unyielding knots, the numbness of her fingers working against her as she fought to untangle the cords that held Molly captive. Stun Mama's mama. Hi. How you doing? Come on. Come on. Ava muttered under her breath, a near-silent chant to coax her fingers to move. Her eyes stung with the effort and the frustration of her frozen, aching limbs. But Molly's soft, pitiful sobs that echoed in the otherwise silent room breathed life into her desperation. Fubar! Hello. Good to see you. Her breath hitched as she finally succeeded in loosening the first knot, and she moved quickly, feeling the strain of urgency as she struggled with the others. Please let her be okay, Ava thought, hoping desperately that the woman in her hands wasn't beyond repair. Molly's voice cracked again, this time softer, but it carried all the weight of someone waiting for rescue far longer than Ava had known. Ava, you found me. It was a small sign that Molly hadn't been broken by whatever horror she had endured. Ava's heart swelled with emotion, and despite the overwhelming relief of their reunion, a new wave of dread and confusion took its place. What had happened to Molly? How had she gotten here? I guess I did. Ava forced a small laugh. I'm so sorry. He made me do it. Molly sobbed. I knew it. Last time we read, did I not say, go check the VOD. Go check it. It's a trap. Molly was trapped and being used to lure her in. Gosh darn it, I love it when I'm right. Which isn't very often. Anyway, collecting myself back with the story. Shh, not now, Malls. We need to focus all our energy on getting out of here. Ava's voice was low but firm, and the urgency was evident as she finished loosening the last knot. The rope fell away, leaving Molly's arms free. Ava immediately placed her hands under Molly's arms, ready to lift. There's rope around my ankles. Oh, damn it. Of course there is. She ran her hands down her friend's legs and worked the knots quickly. Can you stand? Molly's breath was shallow, her voice weak. I don't know. I barely feel my legs or arms. Lean on me, Ava insisted. She bent down, her muscles aching with the strain of exhaustion. She slid one arm around Molly's waist and the other under her arm. With a grunt, Ava pushed, her legs trembling as she tried to lift her. Molly was so unsteady that her body was dead weight. For a moment, there was a flicker of success. Molly's feet shuffled across the floor. Ava tried to balance them both, but her own legs barely held under the strain. Their legs buckled at the same time. They fell backward in a tangled heap of limbs, crashing into the floor with a painful thud. "Damn!" she cursed under her breath, her hands now desperately pressing against the floor to push them upright again. Molly let out a weak sob, her body shuddering in Ava's arms. "I can't do it, Ava. I can't move. Just leave me." "Don't say that. You can, and I won't," Ava urged, but her voice wavered slightly despite her attempt at strength. "We just need to get out of this room." Ava's eyes darted around. She was disoriented now, not sure which way the door was. They couldn't waste time wandering around the large, cavernous room trying to find it. Ava gritted her teeth and pulled Molly back into a sitting position, her own legs still unsteady, as she struggled to lift her friend again. This time, she didn't try to get both of them up in one go. She had to be more innovative. She leaned into Molly, slowly dragging her up inch by inch, using the pole as support to brace them. "We're not giving up. We'll make it," Ava whispered as much to herself as to Molly, and then added with more determination, "I swear." Molly's head lolled against Ava's shoulder, her body heavy with exhaustion, but she managed a weak nod. "Okay," she whispered back, barely audible. Ava moved cautiously, each step like walking on glass, testing the strength of her own legs as she half-carried, half-dragged her friend toward what she prayed was the door. They crossed the room using the vehicle to steady and guide them part way. But once free of the sedan, the expanse of the room felt like it was a mile wide. Before she could stop, Ava's hand touched the cold, concrete wall. She inched along it, clinging tightly to Molly as she felt for the door. Every second that passed, she feared she was going in the wrong direction, and that he would return before she could locate the door. Hinges. She felt them. She was so relieved she let out a little whimper. She pressed her ear to the cool metal of the door. She couldn't hear any sound coming from the other side. Her hope of escape ticked up a notch. Had he heard them? Would they be discovered once she opened the door? Did he lay outside and wait? Surely not. At this point, she didn't care. All that mattered was putting one foot in front of the other. She was prepared to fight him if it came to that. Ava's heart pounded in her chest as she tried the handle. To her surprise, she found it unlocked. He must have forgotten to lock it on his way out. Either that or he was so confident he hadn't bothered. It didn't matter either way. The door squealed open like a stuck pig being slaughtered, sending waves of panic through her. "We have to move quickly. If he's here, he's bound to have heard that." The hallway was deep and dark, but it was one step closer to freedom. Ava helped Molly through the opening, her hands shaking with fear and adrenaline. Every step felt like it could be their last, but the air outside that room, however muggy, felt like a promise. They kept moving, one slow step after another, determined that nothing would stop them now. "Almost there. Just keep going." With every step, they moved farther away from the nightmare they'd both been trapped in. Dun dun dun. That was chapter 51. Ava and now Molly on their way to escape. That was a good chapter. It was very good. Yes. Time for another marble race. And I know we still have, looks like 10 minutes before ads, but I'm going to run the ads just so that we can get them out of the way. And then that way, when we're done with the race, we can get back into the book. So, exclamation point play to get your ball in here. 90 seconds on the clock. And telling Twitch to do its thing with the ads. And I'll have a sip of tea. It's so good. It's so tasty. I'm gonna rally the troops and see who's gonna be up for some American Truck Sim on Thursday. I have some accessories to wear for that day. That way I can truly look the part. I'm excited about that. It's gonna be awesome. I hope. I'm also hoping to get a haircut tomorrow, because I'm looking a little bit scruffy and shaggy. But not like a good way, you know? Not the good kind of shaggy. Ew, gross. Hi, mama. What do you mean, ooh, gross? Huh? Oh, who are we following? Stepmama's mama. Why you ooh grossing me? Huh? You're the one who said it? Well,
That makes me so sad. I just want to cry now.
yeah, you go. Fubar, you're 16 seconds too late. I'm sorry. There'll be another, because the next chapter is only like 2 pages. So, and then we'll be doing another race. So, fear not. Whee! Oh no! Stepmama's mama is out. Just Jen bringing up the rear, trying to catch up to everybody else. I am out. Cat won again. Tricky, tricky. Half of us didn't even finish. But you know what has finished? The ads. It was the massage lotion. You're gonna have to hook me up with whatever it is. Sounds like it's good stuff. Sounds like it works like a charm. All right. Good job with the puzzle. It's looking great. Chapter 52 is from Dorothea's perspective. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, Dorothea is a homeless woman that knew about these kidnappings, or at least has seen some dodgy stuff. And she was about to help Owen go find Ava, but then she got spooked and she ran off. And so Owen's trying to find her with his dog, because he's got training to like find people and drugs and stuff. So One of those sniffy dogs, you know what I mean? Yeah. Good. Good talk. Page 248. Oh, by the way, if anyone's more, like, just curious about this book, please go check out the link I just pasted in chat. You'll be able to see more about this and other works by Melissa Roos, who has kindly allowed me to read her book on stream. I typically read books from living authors that will give me their consent to read. Otherwise, I would get my hand slapped for reading other people's work without permission. So, hear that, Twitch people? I have permission. But yeah, go check out her works. If anything looks like it might tickle your fancy, don't forget to add to cart. I know that she would greatly appreciate it. All right, page 248. Here we go. Dorothea doubled back, trying to evade, not just one, but two. One ahead and one behind. One friend, one foe. Earlier, she had moved with calculated caution, slipping away from the warehouse brimming with secrets. As she distanced herself from the building, an unsettling chill ran down her spine. She knew, without a doubt, that she'd been seen. The streets were dark, and the further she led them away from Broadway, the quieter it got. Her years in the army had honed her senses to an edge sharper than any blade. She remembered the thrill of the chase, how she'd been trained to hunt, track, and disappear in plain sight. The rush of a successful mission was something she'd lived for, back when every assignment was a game of cat and mouse, with her as the predator, always one step ahead. Her skills had been put to the test more times than she could count, each mission shaping her into something more than just a soldier. She became a master of stealth, an expert at weaving in and out of danger, blending into the shadows with the ease of someone who had spent years in the dark, both figuratively and literally. Every footstep, every breath, calculated. But this time, things were different. The weight of years in her body, the aches she'd grown used to, were no longer just a nuisance. They were also the enemy. Girl, I feel that. She moved slower than she should have, her limbs betraying her, not as swift or sharp as they once were. The cold reality stung sharper than it ever had before. She could feel their eyes on her, a hefty, came out as a hefty, which is not a thing. A heavy pressure that cut through the night. It wasn't just soldiers playing war this time. Something darker, more sinister was at play. This chase wasn't just about outmaneuvering. It was about survival. She saw movement to her left and ducked down a back street. She wasn't far from her hiding place, her sanctuary, the place she called home when memories of war became too much. If she could get there, she wouldn't be easily found. She crouched low and stayed in the shadows of the alley, but felt the presence closing in. At the far side of the passageway, where the buildings ended and the cool grass began, she knew she would be exposed for a few minutes as she made the open trek to safety. Pressed against the warm bricks of the old building, she sucked in a haggard breath and listened. All was quiet except for the steady lap of water against the concrete shore and the low hum of the encroaching insects down by the river. She took a tentative step out of the shadows, her foot on the edge of a pool of light. Her bridge was in sight. There was a gleam of silver, a glint of a tip, and the pain of a sharp point penetrating between her ribs. It was quick, in and out. Barely more time, mere seconds in a quick breath of air. But she knew it was deep and deadly. Well, son of a bitch. Dorothea just got stabbed. That's not cool. Very rude. Like, you just don't do that to people. Then again, so were all the women that were drowned in, you know, the river. So, all right, our next race is ready. Thought it was safe to go for soup, and people get stabbed. Soup is never safe. I was just about to say, Fubar, now's your chance, but you did it. You didn't need me at all. Man. And Owen and the dog are trying to find her because she was going to lead them to Ava. But I also called it on the last one that, or I didn't call it, I said it would be interesting and or something like that if Owen was on her way to find Ava, and then Ava left, and, you know, Owen found the room that they would have been in, and now she's gone, and he doesn't know where, and something like that is likely to happen now, because, well, shoot. But something has to give, because there's not much left. We're on page 250 now. And, I forget. 290 is what it goes to. There is an epilogue right afterwards. But, as far as, like, the official chapters, that's it. All right, who are we gonna follow? Who are we gonna follow? Let's follow Fubar. Look at that face. Look at that face. And Fubar's gone. Oh, sorry, buddy. You made it into the race and then got yeeted 10 seconds in. Not even 10 seconds, really, but... So sorry. Cat seems to be maneuvering okay, while the rest of us are far behind. This race is not really about speed, though. It's about maneuvering, agility, and just some really good frickin' luck. And if Cat wins another race, I swear, rigged. Oh, Stepmama's mama has been ejected. Hope you brought your parachute. Oh, Cat. Just screeching by that box there. Playing with the edge. Oh, but you hit an explosive barrel. So now, it's just Jen. It's just Jen. At least you won't have to worry about that particular barrel, but that doesn't mean there won't be more. Man, whoever built this track was ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. I can see the end. It's right there. But can you get to it, Jen? If only you had more time. All you have to do is finish, Jen. That's what she said, right? Yeah. Oh, hold on. Ah! Oh, how did that not explode? You got so lucky. Well done. I don't know how you didn't get just blown to pieces with that barrel, but that was amazing. Well done. Well deserved. Well deserved. All right. We're going to carry on. Chapter 53, Owen Lane's perspective. They walked for well over an hour. And my washing machine has 5 minutes left on it, because my phone just told me. They walked for well over an hour, and Owen felt like they were wandering through the dark streets of downtown, circling, backtracking, but not making any progress. Toby had texted him multiple times, wanting to know if he was insane. The answer is yes. He hated to admit it, but maybe he was. It was crazy to think this might work. It was crazy to think that his brother's dog, now his, who had been injured, hurt, and broken, could mend and function normally anymore, let alone track a person down without proper training. He couldn't finish the thought. If only he knew how to get into the cement factory without Dorothea's help, he could have gone straight there. Gunnar gave a short, sharp bark. The signal. The voice came from somewhere in front of him, from the black. You found me. Gunnar barked again. Shut that dog up before he comes back. Or wait. Yep, wrong voice, but you'll understand. Owen gave Gunnar the signal, and he released. He'd done it. Gunnar tracked down Dorothea. He bent and rubbed Gunnar, whispering, You did it. Good dog. I owe you a steak dinner. Smart dog, Dorothea said, staying hidden, her voice coming out in breathy waves. I even doubled back to try to lose you. Guess I didn't fool him. Guess not. He looked up. It was so dark down here by the river, the steady flow, a ribbon of ebony velvet behind the grassy edge. But where exactly are you? Owen straightened and held out the pink rabbit's foot. I believe this is yours. He extended his arm, hoping she would come out of the long grass. Aye, so it is. Owen dropped his hand when she didn't step out of the dark toward him. He didn't want to waste any more time. He'd already spent too much tracking her. Need to step out? Hey, no worries, Fubar. Thank you for the lurk. Dorothea, what you said earlier. What? That you'd seen Ava at the plant. Is that true? He stepped toward her. Please, don't lie to me. She could be in real danger. It'd be her. Can you take me to her? You said you knew your way in. I do, but I can't. You can't or you won't? There was a bubbling gurgle in her voice when she answered that set his nerves on edge. Can't. Dorothea. Owen cursed, his voice tight with growing unease. The air down by the river felt too thick, too unnatural. It was as if the very insects that teemed in these damp, moist conditions sensed trouble. His eyes scanned the reeds, catching a glimpse of movement far above him, but whoever it was was too distant and indifferent. He knew that even if he yelled, no one would hear him. Dying, yep, pretty much. Why wasn't she coming forward? A cold knot twisted in his stomach. What if he had walked straight into a trap? The air was heavy, with a warning he couldn't ignore. Come out, he called, his voice raw with fear. Gunnar sensed his apprehension, crouched low, and emitted a deep rumble from his throat. Come out here where I can see you. Please, Dot. The words hung in the air, and for a moment all he could hear was the distant rush of water, the snarl from the dog, and the unsettling absence of an answer. The air was suddenly filled with harsh, ragged coughing. Something was wrong. I'm coming in. So help me, Dorothea. If this is an ambush, I will let Gunnar rip you to shreds and not think twice about it. He lifted his cell and let the flashlight spill over the long grass. He could see where it was trampled slightly. A small path barely big enough for one person, hardly detectable. He guessed that was the point. Straining at his leash, he let Gunnar lead the way. They walked through the waist-high grass with treacherous steps. The light washed over Dorothea. She braced herself against the ground with one hand, her body slumped at the river's edge. It took a second for his brain to register what his heart already knew. There was blood trickling out of the side of her mouth. She coughed, and it splattered, dripping down her chin. Her hand pressed weirdly over the gray shirt, and some dark, shiny liquid coated it. The metallic smell registered at the same time as the sight. Blood. Dot had been stabbed. The wind picked up and sent a ripple through the long vegetation. Oh, God, Dot! Owen squatted in front of her. Let me help you. Don't move. Don't touch me. There's no time. Go to the cement plant. Back the way you came. Take the fork to the left. You'll enter from behind. There's a hole in the fence, barely big enough to squeeze through. Look for an abandoned skid loader, then a dumpster turned on its side. Follow that street. 100 clicks leads you to the warehouse where she is. She tried to stand up and back out of his reach. You need to get out of here in case... She coughed, spewing blood. He comes back. She stumbled forward, then back, reached out. Owen stretched for her hand, but it was so slick with blood that her hand passed right through his grasp. She stumbled backward and toppled into the water. Dot! He yelled as she disappeared beneath the surface. Well, that's a pretty shitty way to go, if you ask me. Wait, did the dungeon not show up? That's weird. It should have. Poor Dot. A victim in a story that she should never have been a part of. 90 seconds on the clock. Let me refresh Tangia. Duh! No! 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 Why is it not showing up? That's weird. Is it borked? Doesn't appear to be. That is so weird. Like, oh my gosh. I thought maybe I needed a new dungeon person. Do they cross streamers? They don't, so it is new for each streamer. Which is a bummer. I understand why, but it's a bummer. But that's why this this RPG game down here in the corner is pretty cool, because this game does carry across streams because it is a specific Steam game. Ah, there's the dungeon. I will join. I look naked. Oh, and we're off. You'll have to wait, Jen, until the current one is done, I think. Or maybe it'll grab yours right after. I don't remember. But we'll find out. We'll find out together. I also learned you can do exclamation point heal like I just did, and it will give you a little tiny boost of health. I just leveled up. When I beat the boss. Woo! So now it should be doing yours. Yep, this is your first attempt. So if any other streamers have this, all of your attempts follow because it's a Steam game, and therefore it's just like any other game profile. It will keep up with you. So that's fun. That tea's good. I do make a delicious cup of tea, if I do say so myself. Hey, look at that. You leveled up. You're level 2. What kind of tea? This is English breakfast, aka black tea, with milk and sugar. Because I was born and raised in the UK, and that is how we drink our tea. Thank you very much. Ooh, I won a race. Look at me. Breakfast has bergamot. Huh? Jen, I'm gonna need you to use English, please. Bergamot. Oh, that was good. I don't think you guys could hear that, but that neck pop felt amazing. It's like crunch, crunch. Right. We're on chapter 54. Page 254, which is quite the coincidence. From Ava's perspective, here we go. At the end of the hall, a drawn-out screech, like an out-of-tune violin scraping its final notes, pierced the silence, grating on Ava's nerves. The sound registered that of a heavy metal garage door lifting, followed by a clatter. The door rolled noisily back down into place. If she could just get a look, she'd know better. She'd better know who and what she was dealing with, but she wouldn't be able to do it safely while holding up Molly. "We need to hide," Ava hissed in her friend's ear. "He's back." "But where?" Ava ran her hand along the wall looking for an opening. By sheer dumb luck, her hand caught a knob. She twisted, and the door silently swung open. "In here." She grabbed Molly's hand and tugged her forward. They stumbled in. It was nothing more than a storage closet, but it was all they had. She lowered Molly onto an overturned bucket. "Stay here, no matter what," Ava instructed Molly. "Redthorn." "Gosh darn it, how are you, man?" "It's lovely to see you." Ava closed the door behind her with a soft click, praying the sound didn't carry. She heard the slam of a car door, then another. He wasn't alone. "You're gosh darn doing okay. Well, that is fantastic." His voice carried. He was loud and crystal clear, as if he wanted to be heard. Ava knew it was the man behind the light. Ava shuddered, but she crept forward anyway. She pressed her eye to the crack in the door. He had his back to her and stood over a large wash sink in the corner as the water trickled out and a fluorescent work light dangled above him. "Son of a bitch," he cursed. "That old bat got blood all over me. I'll probably get rabies or something foul from her. But I showed her. That's what she gets for snooping around. Think she was going to lead the cops here." He laughed cruelly as he scrubbed. "That's about the only way that dipshit Wyatt Lockhart will ever find us." Bergamot and Earl Grey. Excuse me. The Earl Grey. Yes, well, fancy. And Mel's here. Hi, Mel. Melissa Roos is the author. ML Roos in chat. Same person. This is her book we're reading, folks. They both make me think Britain. Yes, indubitably. Quite right, yes. Oh, why is that not working now? Why does everything break? I'm live. It should work. Oh. Right. Okay. It helps if I connect the bot.
Can we get some hype in the chat, please? Can we get some hype in the chat, please? Get some hype. 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 Get some hype in the chat, please. Can we get some hype in the chat, please?
There we go. Hype has been distributed. Now, where were we? Ava's hand went to her mouth to cover the sharp intake of breath. Who else had he killed? He yanked off his shirt, wadded it in a ball, and tossed it in a trash bin. My frickin' shirt is ruined. Ava shifted and pressed further against the doors, trying to see who and what else was in the room. Her mind registered items around the large space. A car, desk, stacks of bags of concrete, and tools. She heard him twist the knobs on the utility sink, and she retreated. He pushed through the doors and slammed them against cement walls, his footsteps echoing in the corridor just as she closed the broom closet. Through the crack in the frame, she saw a light bounce along the corridor. She pressed back away from the door and tugged Molly with her, putting a finger to her lips to warn. Their breathing was so loud, too loud. It was all she could hear except the drumming of her own heart. The sound was harsh and felt like thunder in this tiny space. Ava raised her hands to cover both their mouths, swallowing back the cry that was about to escape. She could feel Molly tremble, so Ava risked removing her hands from their mouths to pull her in tight and comfort her. She didn't want to die. She wouldn't be able to live if Molly did either. His voice grew louder, a raw edge of anger cutting through the silence, and she caught a glimpse of his shadow sliding past the crack in the door. They instinctively shrank back, pressing themselves harder into the wall behind them, desperate for him to move on. But if he did, he would discover their escape, and that realization cut deep, like a double-edged sword, both a curse and a threat. What will he do when he discovers they're gone? He was only a few paces past the closet when she heard his phone chime. The tiny ding was like a gong in the vast hall. He swore as he stopped on the other side of the door, mere inches of wood separating them. She pictured him checking the phone and reading the text. "I fucking swear." His shadow loomed again, crossing the crack with menacing force, and the heavy stomp of his boots echoed sharply on the broken tile as he retreated, unaware of their presence. They had narrowly escaped, their lives spared by the faintest of moments, saved by nothing more than the chime of his phone. A tense silence stretched before Ava heard the sharp sound of car doors slamming. The heavy metal door groaned in protest as it ground upward, and the engine roared to life, a deep, guttural growl that vibrated through the air. Then, just as abruptly, the massive door crashed down with a resounding clatter, sealing them back in. They didn't move. They stood, paralyzed, rooted to the spot. Ava held Molly tightly, refusing to let her stir. A minute stretched into 5, and finally, Ava exhaled, her breath ragged and heavy. "He's gone. What if he comes back?" Molly whispered, her voice barely a tremor. "We will figure that out if and when the time comes. Right now, we need to get out of this closet, out of this building." She could feel Molly agree, her head dipping in the darkness. Ava's heart pounded as she wrestled. Ava's heart pounded as she wrestled with the decision. Should she move alone, risking a faster escape, leaving Molly hidden but vulnerable? The thought of leaving her behind, not knowing what he could do, made her stomach twist. What if he came back before she could return? The image of Molly trapped and at his mercy twisted in her mind, each second stretching into eternity. The pressure of the choice tore at her, and Ava couldn't shake the fear of making the wrong decision. She wouldn't leave her alone. She couldn't. The decision was made. There was no turning back. Ava released her friend, turned the knob, and slowly eased the door open. She peered into the darkened corridor, determining the immediate area was clear. "Come on, Malls. We have to keep moving," Ava urged Molly. "We need to get as far away as possible." They shuffled forward at a snail's pace as every fiber in Ava's body shouted to run, but Molly was so weak that it was all she could do to make progress. After what seemed like an eternity, they reached the edge of the corridor and pushed through the double doors into a large, empty bay. I don't think I can go much further, Molly protested. I need to stop for just a minute. There was an old desk with a computer off to the side and a folding chair. Ava eased Molly down. Sit a minute. Catch your breath. I need to see what we're dealing with. Molly leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes, clearly exhausted. Ava, I have to tell you how sorry I am. For what? You didn't do this. No, but I dragged you into it. How? Ava asked as she scanned the cluttered desk. It was littered with empty bottles of sleeping pills, bank receipts, and coils of rope. Ava sifted through the papers, recognizing her and Molly's names and seeing dollar amounts. I can't believe it. She gasped and lifted a photo out of the clutter. The same photo she had in her car on her visor mirror. What? Molly questioned. This photo. How did he get it? It's mine, Molly continued, as if she hadn't heard Ava. The ad was a trap. A ploy. Ad? What ad? Ava questioned. And for what, though? The apartment. Money. Molly whispered, her voice trembling. Tears spilled down her face as the words choked out. He threatened to kill me if I didn't give him money. He already had all my financial information, and he'd been able to run it through the paperwork I filled out. But it still wasn't enough. He told me he wasn't the only one that wanted something. What did he mean? I don't know. I told him I'd do anything just to survive if he would let me go. That's when I sent the video to you, telling you how great it was, hoping you'd come. But it was a lie. I was trying to send you a warning. I needed to help, but I didn't know how. I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to get caught in this. Her sobs racked her body, raw with regret and fear. Shh, Ava soothed, squatting down to her friend's level. She pushed back Molly's hair from her face, her mind racing to piece it together. What about your job? I never got to go. Was it all a lie from the start? The weight of the situation pressed down on her, the confusion gnawing at her like a sharp, insistent ache. Nothing about this made sense. How had he known that's where she worked? She couldn't even begin to wrap her head around it when all she could do was think about escape. It's okay. Shh, now. Molls, don't cry. We can talk about it later. We have to get as far away from here as possible. As soon as you think you can move, we need to. Do you think you can? Molly didn't answer, just stared straight ahead. He's killed others. It was true. He was the Cumberland killer. How do you know? I didn't know her, but he had someone when I came. Molly cried harder. He abducted her before me. He did the same thing to her. Took her money. Molly hiccuped, choking on a sob. I saw her briefly. She was half dazed as he dragged her out of the room. She was delirious, mumbling. She never came back. He said that's what would happen to me. Ava's heart thudded rapidly against her ribcage. Did you get a look at him? Do you know who he is? She shook her head as tears streamed down her face. I didn't. He was always behind that damn light. He was with me too. But his voice, I swear I'd recognize it anywhere. He was at Cognac Creek on my first day. Ava's hand shook as she rifled through the papers on the desk, pushing aside pens, a stapler, and newspaper clippings. Her breath hitched when she saw it. Here. Your name, mine, the names of the other women, all linked to bank accounts, and the newspaper articles. She swallowed hard, the weight of it crushing her. Looking at Molly, her tears blurred her vision, but she couldn't look away. 5 women are dead, Molly. All killed by the Cumberland killer. Molly's face drained of color and she nodded slowly. That's what I was afraid of. But why? Why us? Ava lifted the papers and scanned them to look for connections. There was something, she was sure of it, but what was she missing? I don't know. But Zarias is here to do the puzzle. Oh, hey, Zarias. There has to be a connection. I agree. Molly shifted in her chair uncomfortably. She looked like she was ready to pass out. But I don't know what. Molly finished quietly, her voice shaky. She ran a hand through her hair, looking lost. Ava's eyes darkened with a mix of confusion and fear. But why the money? Why take everything from us if that's even what's happening? It just doesn't add up. This wasn't just about robbing them and us. She paused, trying to piece together a bigger picture. There's something else. There has to be. Because if it really was just about money, she couldn't even fathom the waste. Ava snapped her focus back to the present, her pulse quickening. We'll figure it out later, she said, cutting through the tension in the air. Right now, we need to get out of here. She scanned the room, anxiety tightening in her chest. The loud screech of the metal door was still ringing in her ears, and someone was bound to hear it if she tried to open it. She couldn't take that risk, not with the killer potentially still nearby. She didn't know how far he had gone or if others were involved. Her eyes darted around the space until they landed on a small window across the room. I think I found our way out. Her voice was low but urgent. Let's go. She helped Molly to her feet and half dragged her across the room, praying she could open the window. A small latch on the inside secured the pane. Once she released it, the window moved up with fits and starts as the old hard wood warped and twisted. Ava yanked the pane as high as she could, only to be stopped by the humid night air. She peered out, not sure if she should trust the quiet. After all, if he weren't in here, he could be out there, somewhere. Ava shifted, put her leg through, and shimmered out. She stopped and peered out into the night. She deemed it clear and then helped Molly maneuver through the opening. We need to move. She didn't want to think about what would happen if he returned. Neither one of them was in any shape to fight him off. She placed Molly's arm over her shoulders and wrapped her arm around her waist. Wait, quiet, Ava warned, her heart thudding against her chest. Did you hear that? What? Voices. I don't hear anything, Molly said, sucking in a deep breath. There it is again. They're coming this way. Get back. She pushed Molly back into the little alcove and stood in front of her. You need to be prepared to run if it comes to that. We can't go back in. We'll be trapped inside with no way out. Ava put a finger to her lips as a warning. The murmur of a voice could be heard getting closer. She peered out and saw 2 figures coming. Wait, one was a dog? She froze, but the dog sensed her and turned in her direction. With a sharp bark, the dog darted toward her. A slick sheen of perspiration coated her skin as panic seized her entire body. She was frozen in place. Her heart pounded in her chest as the dog barreled toward her. The figure was still advancing, oblivious to her presence, but the dog was fast and on her scent. Her breath caught in her throat as she backed into the shadows, praying the darkness would be enough to hide her and Molly. The dog's claws scraped against the ground. Ava's mind raced, trying to calculate her options. She had to stay calm. She couldn't outrun the dog, but they couldn't afford to be caught. She was sure Molly wouldn't survive another day. Thinking of only protecting Molly, she stepped into the path of the quickly advancing animal. His sharp barks turned into a happy whimper as the dog focused on her. "Gunner?" she mumbled, barely even able to speak as relief washed over her. She felt faint, falling to her knees in front of the canine. The dog lavished her face with kisses. She buried her face in his fur and hung on tight as his tail thumped out a happy greeting. "Ava?" Owen questioned as he ran toward her. "Thank God." He wrapped his arms around both of the women and the dog. "I can't believe it's you." Ava gently let Gunner go, her heart racing as Owen pulled her close. He wrapped his arms around her, his hands tenderly tracing the outline of her face before gliding down her arms as if memorizing every curve. "Are you all right?" His voice was ragged with concern. "I am now," she whispered, her breath soft against his chest as she melted into his embrace. Feeling the warmth of his arms cradle her like a promise, she pulled back slightly, her gaze lifting to meet his. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you." His words were so tender and full of longing that they brought tears to her eyes. "How did you find me?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "Dorothea, I'll explain later." Coming back to reality, panic seized her. "We need to get out of here if he comes back. And Molly? She can't run." "Molly?" Owen questioned, clearly surprised. "My friend, Molly," she pointed, "is over there." She ran back to her friend and dropped to her knees in front of Molly, her hands shaking as she glanced around frantically. Owen jogged up behind her. Wait, no, I already called the police. We can't just... I don't have a car. I don't have anything. There's no way out except on foot. And Dorothea's gone," Owen said. "This place is a maze. It's a miracle we found you." Her breath hitched, her eyes wild with panic. They were so close to safety, yet so far. "Stay calm, Ava. We have to stay calm," Owen said, his voice steady but strained. "We're better off waiting for help. Gunner will protect us if it comes to that. We let the police know come to us so we don't injure Molly more." Ava nodded, though every fiber of her being screamed to run, to get as far away as possible. Owen pulled out his phone, his fingers moving quickly but with no less urgency. He dialed. It was picked up on the first ring. On the other end, she heard a voice bark. "Well?" "I found her," Owen said, his voice thick with emotion as she wrapped his arms around her again, pulling her close, holding her like he'd never let go. And that there, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the conclusion of Chapter 54. Whew, I'll be. My goodness. We are. I'm still mad about Dot. I know. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve to be homeless either. She was a vet. She should have been taken care of. She should have been taken care of. Wait, Grand Prix is not what I want. I want this. All right, this is a slightly different style. Instead of a race that's start to end, it's a lap race. So we're going to do 5 laps. First to complete 5 laps wins. Same concept. Exclamation point, play to play. 90 seconds on the clock. This way, I can keep reading because, gosh darn it, we can't stop now. All right. Chapter 55, page 264 is from Owen Lane's perspective. Here we go. Over here, Owen called and waved his arm as the car rolled in, parked at the edge of the abandoned lot, and an officer got out. He squeezed Ava's hand. I'll be right back. Are you going to be okay for a moment? Yes, she nodded. Go. He ran toward the officer, flagging him down. I didn't think you would get here so soon. Before we get further, you know how we all think Rancic, the other detective, is a bit shady, a bit dodgy, uncouth, perhaps? It wouldn't surprise me if he is in on it in some way, shape, or form. I think he's a cop. I just think he's crooked. But we'll see. Well, I was in the area when the call came in. Rancic stood next to the car and looked around. His voice dropped low. Where are the women? Safe, Owen said, pointing to where they were huddled together with Gunner next to the building, some 50 feet away from where they stood. Do you want to talk to them? Rancic nodded, glancing over. In a minute. Stay with them. I will return to the entrance and show the ambulance how to get back here. This place is a maze. You're telling me? Owen agreed as Rancic walked away. Owen jogged back over to the women and sat next to Ava on the crumbling curb. Protectively draped an arm around her, holding her tight. Relief washed over him. She was back, and nothing else mattered. Rancic had only been gone for a few minutes when police cars and an ambulance came pulling in, their lights and sirens blaring. Detective Lockhart was the first to arrive. He jumped out of his vehicle and ran toward them. Miss Ava Morgan? He asked, taking in the 3 of them. Yes, Ava nodded. And this is Molly. Calhoun. Detective Lockhart finished for her. I'm happy to see you both. Let's get the paramedics over here and take a look at you. He gave a whistle and flagged them down. Molly first, Ava said. Of course. Owen and Lockhart helped the women stand and let the EMTs take over. Once they were out of earshot, Detective Lockhart turned on Owen. You should have called me sooner. You should have let me know your plans, he stated, his voice a low grumble, frustrated as he spoke to Owen. But then he looked at Ava holding her friend's hand as they loaded her into the ambulance, and he softened. But I understand why you did it. You're damn lucky you weren't killed. He paused for effect. Or they weren't. I know. I wasn't thinking clearly. All I was thinking about was finding her. I hadn't set out tonight to go after Dorothea or use Gunner to track either woman. It just happened. Owen turned, a rush of emotion flooding through him as he saw Ava slowly making her way back toward them with Gunner at her side. A pang of relief gripped him. Allie's here. Hi, Allie. Everything all right? Owen asked as he wrapped a protective arm around her to steady her. She wobbled slightly and leaned into his arm. Yes, I'm just giving them a little privacy while they check Molly out. We need to get you to the hospital, Owen said. Is there another ambulance coming? Unfortunately, not for 20 minutes or so before another ambulance can arrive. A massive accident on the other side of the city has left dozens injured. A concert just ended at the stadium, and the streets are gridlocked with traffic. It's okay. I'm all right. The main thing is that Molly gets there. Ma'am? A young officer came over. I was told to give you this. Have you drink it so we can get you hydrated again? Thank you, Ava said, accepting the bottled water. She twisted the loose top and took a long drink, wrinkling her nose at the taste. Wyatt flagged the forensic team down and ushered them into the building as officers sectioned off the perimeter. You still need to be checked out. Why don't you go over and sit in the back of my car? It's unlocked. He gestured toward the parked vehicles. We're sweeping the area to determine if the suspect is still nearby. I'll need to coordinate with my technicians to ensure everything is set up properly. Once that's handled, I've got a few final tasks to take care of, and then I'll personally drive you. You don't have to do that, Ava started to protest. Don't argue with the man, Owen teased. Come on, I'll sit and wait with you. You look like you're about ready to fall over. Ava relented and let him guide her toward the row of cars. As they passed an officer, Owen asked, Which car is Lockhart's? Black sedan. Owen nodded and steered her between cars. He efficiently tucked Ava into the back of the unmarked car, then slipped around to the other side with Gunner at his heels. He slid in beside her in the back seat, his presence comforting. Gunner was harder to get in. He whined and dug in his paws. Owen gave a command, and Gunner reluctantly curled up on the backseat floor. How much room is in the back of this sedan? I've been in one. They are not that spacious. Owen pulled Ava gently into his arms, holding her close. Having her there in his arms, her warmth and steady heartbeat ground him as she rested against him. Make sure you drink in that. Could be a little while before it comes back. My Atlas has a lot of space? Okay, all right then. It tastes a little bitter for water, Ava said. She lifted it to her mouth, and Gunner lunged toward her, knocking it out of her hand and spilling the contents all over the interior. What the hell? Owen opened the door. Gunner, out! The dog whimpered and scurried out. I'm sorry. I don't know what got into him, or why the Bookfather won the race. Oh, wait. I have a Chevy Impala police version, not much space after the cage. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, MLS. I think Rancic gave the same cocktail that was given to her the first time. And I think the vehicle that they're in is probably not Lockhart's. That's just my guess. Love is in the air. Every sight and every sound. We're just gonna do this race. Because it's fun. It's okay. He's allowed to be a little frazzled too. They sat together in the isolation of the closed car, quiet for a moment as the outside world muted around them. A gentle wave of exhaustion washed over him, as if the world had paused just for them, despite the frenzy of activity all around them. Her eyes closed and opened, heavy with fatigue. "I'm sorry, Owen." "For what?" he asked in a hushed tone. "For two things." "One?" he asked, trying to make light of the situation because he could feel her tremble, her emotions brewing under the calm facade. "I must look awful and smell even worse. And two, I don't think I can stay awake much longer." He smiled against her head, where his chin rested. Don't worry. Don't worry about either thing. Go ahead and sleep. I'll be here when you wake." She nodded, unable to fight it any longer. She drifted off. He was content to hold her in his arms. Why did Owen not register the fact that the dog who was trained to find drugs go after the bottle? Why? Unless... No. There's no way Owen's in on it. There's no way. I'm going to run another 2 minutes of ads, by the way, because they're going to run themselves if I don't in 3, so we're just going to get them out of the way. And then we'll keep going. Owen cannot be part of it. Are we finishing the book? Well, I'll ask you guys. Do you want me to save the rest for Tuesday? Or would you like me to finish it tonight? We have 22 pages, minus the epilogue. And the epilogue I just usually save for myself anyway. More, finish please. What time is it? It's just about 8 p.m. CST, this is the normal time that I would be wrapping up. So I'd be like, oh, perfect timing, the end of the chapter, let's go find someone to raid. But because we're this close to the end, 22 pages. I could save it, but 22 pages for another stream is not enough. And yes, we could like finish the book, talk about it, and then dive into the next book, but I prefer to not do that. Well done, Allie. You won. Oh boy. Did I just win? You did. You did. All right. We're going to finish the book. We're going to do it. And then on Tuesday, we're going to figure out. Well, and everyone's saying yes anyway, so that works. It's not the peak, but I will take it. Take what you can. That's all I'm saying. All right, here we go. Chapter 56, Ava Morgan's Perspective. Ava didn't know when the rain started to fall. The pitter-patter was soothing and relaxing, making her content to just sleep. She was vaguely aware when she heard a slight rap on the window, and she felt Owen kiss her head and slip out of the vehicle. "I'll be right back." "Oh, don't leave her, you idiot," he whispered into her ear. In her subconscious, she heard the door open and close. In what felt like a matter of seconds, another door opened. Something cold slipped around her wrists. The door closed. The vehicle moved. "Owen?" she questioned, shifting on the seat, still half asleep. She was jolted around as the car maneuvered through the streets, over major potholes and a couple of speed bumps. They were easing out through the concrete plant gate when she sat up and realized she was handcuffed. Panic shot through her like a bullet from a gun. "Owen? Detective Lockhart?" The officer glanced at her through the rearview mirror, and their eyes connected. "No, sorry. They were a little tied up." A shot of electricity ran through her, putting her nerves on edge. That voice, cold, calculated, and haunting, cut through the air like a blade. She'd know it anywhere. Her heart slammed against her chest as the realization sank in. It was him. She knew he saw it the instant it registered in her eyes. She couldn't hide it. It was there, raw and unmasked, painted across her face. His smile twisted into something darker, more predatory. He knew that she recognized him, and the chill that followed made it clear. There was nowhere to run. She reached for the door, trying to be slow and unnoticeable. He either saw her or sensed it because the locks clicked when her hand reached the handle. So you did see my face. I wondered." She swallowed hard, forcing down the fear. I didn't. It was your voice that gave you away." He sneered. "So indeed." She needed to stay calm. Maybe she could reason with him. "Do you think you can drive away with me and no one will notice?" "Oh, they're sure to notice, believe it or not. I told them that I would drive you to the hospital, so they are aware I have you." "Then how do you think you'll get away with this?" she demanded, her voice rising slightly with the panic that had begun to bubble to the surface. "Do you think Owen or Detective Lockhart will believe we drove off into the sunset together?" He was on the main road and took the ramp to I-40, heading away from the city. Where was he headed? The car rolled steadily down the highway, the swish of the wipers and the hum of the tires meeting pavement the only noise between them. Ava sat tensed in the back seat, wound tighter than a spring, ready to pounce if given a chance. Her mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. "I don't care what they think. In fact, they won't think. I'm going to tell them exactly what happened." She was only half listening as she looked around the back seat for anything to use as a weapon, but there was nothing but the empty water bottle. Despite her fear, her eyes were uncontrollably heavy. Her mind fought to stay cognitive. Her hand closed around it, and as the plastic crinkled, the image flashed through her mind. The water he had given her at the warehouse had also tasted bitter. There had been something in the water, and Gunnar knew. And my music stopped. Oh, it's just having a hard time. Okay. I don't know why. Come on back. There we go. Why me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't keep the fear from creeping in. Why not you? Please, she begged. Can we talk about this? Whatever you think I've done or haven't, I assure you it wasn't my intention to offend you. Once upon a time, you thought you were going places, that you were unstoppable, and were somebody. He laughed viciously. Just a few days ago, you wouldn't even let me buy you a drink. So high and mighty. Now you're begging me to pay attention to you. He checked his rearview mirror to make sure he had her attention. I guess she was right. You're all alike. Just another number in a sea of steady transients arriving in the city. He laughed heartily. Except you're number 7 in my book, and her apartment. My lucky number 7. My meal ticket out of this clusterfuck. Sorry, my music is having a hard time. Struggle bus, if you might say. I am refreshing it. Or at least I'm trying to. There we go. Good God, that's loud. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. 7? What did that mean? If he was the Cumberland killer, had there already been 6 deaths? The newspaper clipping on the desk indicated 5. His hand gripped the wheel with a confidence that unsettled her. He glanced at her through the rearview mirror again, his lips curling into a small, almost amused smile. He picked up his cell phone and called. Whoever it was answered immediately. I have number 7. So simple, so quick, it could have meant nothing, but she knew it meant everything. Okay, he just said something about the apartment. So now I'm thinking, is Kara, her roommate, the one passing off the information? Otherwise, he wouldn't have known where she worked. Oh, that's definitely a possibility. All right, let's keep going. He was calm, so certain of his success. It was as if he already knew he was untouchable. And maybe, in some twisted way, he was. He had been planning this for days, carefully orchestrating each move, each step. He turned up the radio and the static filled the air. Then he turned the air on at full blast and lowered the windows and the wipers on high. The mix of sounds was almost deafening. That's when he made a second call. This time, he spoke loud and quick. He has Ava Morgan. I'm following it out of town. Track me. Ava screamed, but it was too late. The call had already ended. She swallowed hard, trying to control the whirlwind of thoughts and fear threatening to overwhelm her. Her chest felt tight, as though the air in the car had thinned. You want them to come after us? She asked in disbelief. He didn't even look at her. Yes. His words were ice cold. By the time they find us, you'll be dead. And I'll be a hero. Ava's eyes snapped open, and she fought to push the heavy fog clouding her mind into submission. A wave of dread crashed over her. Dead. It was no longer an idle threat. The way he spoke, so certain, so assured, made her realize that he had already anticipated every move, every response. He wasn't afraid of Owen. He wasn't scared of Detective Lockhart. And worst of all, she was nothing more than a pawn, a means to an end, a number. Number 7. All right, we're going to keep breezing. That was chapter 56. Moving on to chapter 57, Owen Lane's perspective. I want you to look at this, Detective Lockhart said to Owen as they entered the building. Immediately, Gunner started barking. He pulled on the leash. Gunner, quiet, Owen scolded. What's gotten into you? The dog whined but still strained at the leash. Detective Lockhart watched Gunner and didn't seem surprised at his reaction. Come this way. Do you want me to leave him outside? No. Bring him. I want him here. I need to test a theory. That surprised Owen, but he didn't argue. Okay, but let's make it quick. I don't want to leave Ava for long. They walked down the long hall and into a massive warehouse. Yellow caution tape that contained a white sedan had already been established around the center of the room. They skirted the perimeter. Owen followed Detective Lockhart. They swept wide, avoiding the caution tape, while Gunner yipped and pulled hard against the leather leash. It was all he could do to keep control of the German Shepherd. Dog is smart. His eyes shifted from the car when he noticed an officer squatting low to take a photograph of pieces of rope that lay frayed and abandoned on the ground beside a metal pole. He swallowed hard and asked, Was that where Ava had been held? Detective Lockhart nodded. I'm afraid so. He motioned for him to come closer. Try not to look at it. That's not what I brought you in here for. He lifted the tape, and they ducked under. Where's that bagged evidence I said I would be back for? Here, sir, the young officer said, handing Detective Lockhart the bag and tagged item. The detective took it and turned toward Owen. Recognize this? Well, I don't know, should I? Owen questioned, then stopped cold. It's, a blue Jayhawk sweatband. Anyone you know wear these? Lockhart asked. My brother did. But I'm guessing you knew that. I gave him a Jayhawks headband with matching wristbands for Christmas during my freshman year in college. It was part of his gift, a gag of sorts, but he actually loved it. He always wore it when he ran. My music is having a hard time today. He looked down at the restrained German Shepherd. Gunner has the matching wristbands on his teddy bear. Owen rubbed his chin, thinking, but the funny thing is, when Dylan was found on the side of the road, he wasn't wearing his. It wasn't in his belongings when they gave to my mother, either. Or wait. Sorry, wrong person. It wasn't in his belongings when they gave them to my mother, either. May I? He asked, holding out his hand. Of course. Owen took the bagged item from Lockhart. Where did you find this? Lockhart pointed to the car. Under the seat. So does that mean? Owen's voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Emotions swamped him from every direction. Won't know for sure until we match the paint with your brother's file. But as you can see, Detective Lockhart pointed at Gunner. The way he whined and pulled, there was no doubt. Gunner had already made a positive ID. So that car was used in the murder of Owen's brother, who, may I remind you, was a police officer. Chapter 58, Kelly Morgan's perspective. Kelly is Ava's mother. Kelly couldn't sleep or sit still. The tiny apartment felt suffocating, like the walls were closing in on her as the rain poured down outside. She had to do something, anything to escape the monotony. The laundry was done. There was nothing left to do. So she sorted through more clothes, rewashed a few items, folded and tucked away Ava's things again in neat, organized piles. Then she put Ava's pictures on the dresser, a small attempt to make the place feel more like home. But there was no trace of her daughter in the room beyond that. Her thoughts drifted to Kara. She'd been kind enough when she'd been told Ava was missing, but beyond the first initial encounter, she'd not done anything to help, and Kelly felt that Kara's patience was wearing thin with her being in the apartment. She understood, especially since it was unclear how long Kelly planned to stay. The thing that bothered her was Kara's odd hours, coming and going first thing in the morning and late at night. It was like she purposely stayed away from the apartment as if she didn't want to be here. Or the thought crept through her mind as if she were hiding something. And what was it she had come home for this last time? Kelly would swear she had been in and out in under 5 minutes. That's when Kelly remembered the scraping sound. Kara had either come home to get something or put something away. Possibly hide it. That thought niggled at her. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Niggled. Until it grew so large that it consumed her every thought. What could have been so important? With a frustrated sigh, Kelly stood up and paced back and forth in front of Kara's room. She eyed the lock, a solid, simple mechanism that required a key. She had nothing except maybe there was a way. There had to be a paperclip somewhere in the apartment. Every good junk drawer had one. I know mine does. If there was a paperclip, Kelly could insert the point into the small keyhole at the top and wiggle it around until she located the locking mechanism, and then push down. She knew it worked. She'd done it countless times before. After all, she was always misplacing the key, so to her shed at home. She reminded herself that she would be an invasion of privacy, but efficiently shoved the thought aside. Her curiosity was stronger than her hesitation. She needed to know. In the kitchen, she found the cluttered drawer. Kelly sifted through it, located a paperclip, twisted the end, and went back to the bedroom door. After a few attempts, prodding and pushing, she felt the mechanism unlock. The door creaked. The door creaked open, and Kelly froze. The difference between the two rooms hit her like a punch to the gut. Kara's room was everything Ava's wasn't. Alive. Pictures adorned the walls. Plants sat on the windowsill like an empty coffee cup perched on the nightstand. It was a space that felt inhabited, lived in. Congratulations on finishing the puzzle. Well done. Looks marvelous. Good job, you guys. You done so well. Take 5. She crossed to the dresser, yanked open the first drawer, then another, each motion deliberate but with an urgency she couldn't suppress. Once she began, there was no turning back. There had to be something here, something that could lead her to Ava. Her hands trembled slightly as she moved swiftly through the room, but she was careful, so careful, trying to make sure nothing was out of place, that nothing would betray the fact that she had been there. Kelly's pulse quickened as she made her way to the closet. The door slid open, revealing a closet crammed full of clothes. The overwhelming fullness of the space made her breath catch. She rifled through the closet, yanked boxes from the shelves, and skimmed through the clothes, all while desperately maintaining the illusion that everything was undisturbed. The strain of holding back and the rush of panic gnawed at her. She had to find something, anything, before time ran out. And yet, there was nothing. Exhausted, she stood in the middle of the room and did a slow 360. She had been so sure there would be something. Kelly brushed against the bed, and a throw pillow tumbled off. She bent over to pick it up, and that's when she saw the corner of the metal box. The sound of metal scraping against wood came back to her. Kelly got down on her hands and knees and fished out the footlocker from under the bed. With her luck, she half expected to find nothing but a pair of sneakers when she lifted the heavy lid. But to her surprise, she found a box full of newspaper clippings. Callie sat on the edge of the bed and read the first one. It was about a hit and run dated 6 months ago. She scanned the article, gleaning it for pertinent information. Officer Dylan Lane was pronounced dead at the scene. German Shepherd transported. Callie gasped and put her hand to her mouth as she realized she was reading articles about Owen's brother. Several other follow-up articles followed: the funeral, the family, and Officer Lane's career. Could Kara have been the one behind the wheel of the hit and run? And the one who sped off without a second thought, leaving a shattered life in her wake? The thought plagued Kelly's mind. Or was Kara just obsessed with the case? Why else would she collect all these articles? Kelly needed to let Detective Lockhart, she corrected, know. She flipped through the remaining articles, her fingers shaking as she unearthed more clippings. Her pulse quickened, her heart racing when she realized it wasn't just more about Officer Lane. Amid the disarray of newspaper articles, official documents were buried, job applications bearing names of different women, their personal information neatly filled out. Along with them were apartment listings for this building, with applications from those same women, their lives bare. Detailed bank statements, credit reports, and there in black and white, Molly and Ava's names. But what made her blood run cold was the stack of articles of the Cumberland Killer and his victims. A chill crept up her spine as the gravity of the discovery sank in. This wasn't some idle fascination. It was the manic collection of an obsession. The record of the Cumberland Killer himself. Oh man. Mel, I don't know if you're still here, but this is good. Squee. I'm gonna do another lap race. I am, and thank you. I can't tell how it's gonna end, and it's exciting. All right, 90 seconds on the clock. Chapter 59, page 278. Ava Morgan's perspective. They hadn't been driving long when the rain tapered off, the heavy downpour leaving huge puddles on the dry, cracked ground. He pulled off the major road onto a small 2-lane highway. The headlights swept the rolling landscape, which turned rural quickly. "Where are we going?" Ava asked. "Fingers crossed you like the end." I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't. "You'll find out soon enough," Rancic said. He turned the car down a gravel road that led further away from civilization. Ava could see the rushing river snaking out along the horizon. They were getting closer. She knew without being told that it was the Cumberland River. The night sky was slowly ebbing toward dawn, and the river loomed large and churned from the torrent of the rain that had just passed. Rancic parked the car and got out. Opening the back door, he yanked out Ava. "It's about down time you got here." Ava heard the voice and turned. "Kara? Surprised? I guess you didn't expect me." Kara laughed. Kara, was she friend or foe? Ava's head was spinning, foggy. It was hard to think clearly. The sun was slowly rising above the horizon. The night was becoming spongy as birds started to chatter, but large thunderclouds still held the sky captive, threatening to let loose at a moment's notice. Ava looked around, trying to get her bearings as they dragged her. If she was going to die, she needed to know why. There must be some mistake. Trust me, there isn't. Kara scowled at her. Only unfortunate accidents and the choice you make after. Isn't that right, Officer Rancic? Rancic smirked and glanced at Kara. You got that right. I don't understand, Ava murmured, tripping and sprawling in the mud. Rancic jerked her up and pulled her forward to the river. One person's misfortune could be another person's opportunity. Wouldn't you agree? Rancic threw a sideways glance at Kara. Shut the hell up, you prick. Her hand snaked out and slapped him across the face. I don't want to hear it from you or her. Kara was half crazed now. She didn't see the shift in Rancic's eyes or how his body tensed, but Ava did. You should never share an apartment with your best friend, especially when that friend has money and isn't afraid to flaunt it. Or go to a midnight poker game with a bunch of lowlifes like Officer Rancic here. She jerked a finger in his direction. And then be forced to drive home when that so-called friend passes out because she had too much to drink. I had a decision to make. Drive or go back into the house with the lowlife scum who took all our money. Rancic yanked Ava forward. She chose poorly. I drove home and hit a damn cop and his dog out for an early morning run. I lost everything that morning and haven't had peaceful night's sleep since. Hence the sleeping pills, Rancic muttered. So, a propose, don't you think? He asked Ava cruelly. Caught between sleep and awake, she drove home right on the edge where nightmares lurk. Turning all her fury on him, Kara spoke. And you? I can't believe you brought her here awake. Don't you know that the poetic justice is to have her half asleep? Like me, she can sleep through the most important moments of her life. She turned a wicked smile on Ava. Only yours will be your last breath. So, she'll go on the river fully awake. Makes no difference to me. You're the psycho bitch that cares. They were at the river now, down past the rocks where the river was deeper. Ava kicked and writhed, trying to get loose. Hold her still, Kara demanded, yanking a hoodie down over her body. Ava recognized it. It was the hoodie Ava had found in the dryer the first day she had arrived. She knew it looked familiar. It was Molly's. I'm about through with you bossing me around, bitch. He clamped his arms around Ava and held her still, but spoke to Kara over her head. A man can only take so much of your shit. A man? Kara spat, as if. You're nothing but a pathetic gambler trapped in a sick addiction that drains you dry. Every paycheck, every dollar, every cent you get disappears into the next bet, the next poker game, and the debt piles up faster than you can breathe. The loan sharks are circling, closing in. Your phone blows up with warnings, but there's no escape. Every decision you've made has led us to this point, and now we're stuck, powerless, with no way out. Just like me. Even their money, Kara pointed a finger at Ava, hasn't been enough. I should have never listened to you that morning on the road. That cop lying at my feet, barely breathing. The dog snapping at our heels. She sneered at him as she spoke. Wait, Ava screamed, trying to make sense of it all. What does this have to do with me? Hi, Crumlord. It's good to see you, sir. Nothing. You're a means to an end. You see, my roommate woke up in the middle of all this. She witnessed the whole thing. The accident and the arrival of Officer Rancic. She tried to blackmail him for taking me into leaving the scene of the crime. That was her first mistake, Rancic said, keeping his voice low. Kara continued as if she hadn't heard him. After Super Cop drained my roommate's bank accounts dry and dumped her body in the river to cover our tracks, it still wasn't enough. He had me with no witness to corroborate my story. Well, she laughed cruelly. You get the picture. I had to get more money to keep him happy, so I put out an ad for a new roommate. Thus, the plan was born. Ava felt trapped as if she were in a straitjacket with the hoodie yanked into place. She took deep, shallow breaths, willing herself not to panic. Rancic grabbed her wrist, pulled a black marker from his pocket, and wrote the number of 7 on her left palm. I don't know why you wrote it there, Kara grumbled. You said yourself that the detective is worthless. He might miss it. Because that's where I want to write it, he growled. If she's number 7, what happened to the other one? Did you already dump her in the river without me? No, he said calmly. She went to the hospital in an ambulance. He again jerked the hoodie down to cover Ava's wrists and hands, clenching the marker in his palm. Kara screamed in disbelief and stomped, sending muddy water flying. Then she's number 6, you idiot, not 7. No, he corrected her. You're number 6. Alrighty then. Chapter 60, folks. Owen Lane's perspective. Owen felt sick to his stomach. His stomach twisted into a tight knot. The crushing realization that they had just found the vehicle that had taken his brother's life slammed into him, drowning him in a wave of grief and rage. His mind raced with questions, every one more unbearable than the last. He couldn't stay here. Couldn't breathe in this suffocating reality. He needed to escape. He needed space. Most of all, he needed Ava. I need to get out of here, Owen told Detective Lockhart before he cracked. Well, I know this is difficult to see that just Jen won the race. I mean, what I meant is, I know this is difficult. Wyatt looked around. I'll get Rancic to drive you and Ava to the hospital. We need to get her checked out. Now, where did he get to? It felt like the walls were closing in on Owen. He was on the verge of walking out when the detective's cell rang, the sharp sound cutting through the tension. Rancic, where are you? Something in the way he said it made Owen hesitate. Owens saw Lockhart's face morph into disbelief. Lockhart clicked off and dialed the office. I need you to track Officer Rancic's phone and send me the coordinates. Then, send it back to his location. What's happening? Owen demanded. Lockhart shifted into high gear and made a beeline for the door with Owen on his heels. Rancic is in pursuit of the Cumberland Killer. Lockhart hesitated. And he has Ava. What? How? Owen challenged. I don't know, Wyatt admitted while practically running to his car. Maybe he was waiting somewhere close by and snatched her right from under us while we were inside. Owen swore, running beside him, gunner in tow. If you're going after him, I'm coming with you. Lockhart's phone chimed, downloading the active coordinates of Officer Rancic. I don't have time to argue. Wait. What? Lockhart demanded. This is your car? Yes. Why? That's not the car I put Ava in. Owen's face turned as pale as a sheet. Son of a bitch. I put her in the wrong damn car. I gave her to him on a silver platter. Look, Owen, it's not your fault. You were tricked. You were duped. Chapter 61, Ava Morgan's Perspective. A fist connected with flesh and cartilage. Kara's head snapped back. Ava heard the break. Blood gushed. Kara went down like a ton of bricks. Rancic straddled her and uncapped his marker again. She was unconscious. He took her hand and put the marker in her palm. Guiding her hand, he drew a large 6 right on her forehead. No one's gonna miss this number. Then tucked the marker in Kara's pants pocket. Before Ava could react, Rancic scooped up Kara and carried her dazed to the river. A sharp and piercing gunshot split the air, jolting Ava into action. She scrambled to her feet, her movements frantic and uncoordinated, the weight of urgency driving her forward despite the difficulty. You really gonna make me chase you? He yelled after her. Damn right she was. She may not get very far, but she wasn't going to just lie down and die. I am cunning. You'd better be running, he sang out. The light was returning quickly now, but the ground was uneven and soggy. Her legs were weak and her arms were trapped. She went down hard when he tackled her from behind. He pinned her to the ground and sucked in a much-needed breath. Gotcha. Please, she begged, gasping for air as she kicked and bucked. You don't have to do this. Oh, but I do. I have to follow through with what I started. And you're number 7. That's my lucky number. He laughed as he grabbed her and lifted her into the air. Old lucky number 7 has never let me down yet. How do you think you'll get away with this? Ava asked, kicking out as hard as she could, hoping he would drop her as she squirmed. That car you came in? That's Kara's. Everyone saw you get in it. Hell, your boyfriend put you in it. It's the same make and model as the detectives. I made her buy it, hoping it would come in handy someday, and today it did. But nobody saw it leave except me. I followed in my cruiser, which technically Kara drove here. He pointed over to where it sat. He reached the edge of the river now and stood on the muddy bank. Unfortunately, I was too late to stop the Cumberland Killer before she struck again. But I shot her in the back of the leg before she tossed you into the river. She fell in, and the current took her. I was more concerned about rescuing you from the water than pursuing her. He shrugged. The rest of the story writes itself. He angled Ava so she could see Kara lying face down on the rain-soaked riverbank. He stared at the dark water churning and bubbling, his gaze cold and unblinking, before locking eyes with her. A sinister smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "Lucky for you," he said, his voice low and threatening. "The water shouldn't be too cold, but you won't be alive long enough to notice." He hummed the little tune again that haunted her. Splish, splash. Ava didn't even have time to reply. She felt herself fall, heard the last word as gravity yanked her down. Splosh. The smack of the water, the gasp for breath. She turned, she twisted, her legs kicked out. The current pulled her forward. She struggled to keep her head above water. She gulped air and went under, squirming against the hoodie. If she could just get it off. She kicked, pushed off a rock, and popped out of the water for a brief second. She saw Rancic pushing Kara further into the water, only to be swallowed a whole moment later. Ava plunged beneath the surface once more, dragged down by the current. Her lungs burned for air. The current was strong, but she battled against it with her legs, aiming for the shore. She was at the Cumberland's mercy as it tossed and swirled. That's chapter 61. All right, folks. I think. Yep. So, chapter 62 is technically the last chapter in the book. There is an epilogue that's titled 3 Months Later. So here we go. The final chapter. This is Owen Lane's perspective. Detective Lockhart maintained focus on the road and pushed the car beyond the legal limits as they followed the signal, tracking its progress through the cell phone tower pings. With each successive update, the signal's location became increasingly precise. Detective Lockhart's phone rang, and he patched it in. "Lockhart," he barked. "Wyatt?" Kelly's voice filled the interior of the vehicle. "Kelly?" Wyatt questioned. "Is everything okay? Because now isn't a good time." He spared Owen a glance. There was a hiccup that stifled a sob on the other end. "I just found something horrible in Kara's room. You're not going to believe it, but I think she is the Cumberland killer." Owen stiffened, leaning forward as if the simple act could make him hear better. "What did you find?" Lockhart asked, his voice full of concern. "A box hidden under her bed full of newspaper articles, bank statements, apartment applications. 7 different women, Ava included." Gunnar paced back and forth in the back seat, peering out of the foggy windows. Owen, his breath heavy and labored, remained tense as Kelly filled them in. The tracking dot finally stabilized, pinpointing a fixed location. "They've stopped," Owen said in a low voice, not wanting to tip Kelly off as to what was happening. She sounded like she was on the verge of breaking. "I see that." Lockhart made a turn, hugging the corner at a high speed. Without missing a beat, Lockhart addressed Mrs. Morgan. "Kelly, I want you to sit tight. Don't touch anything else. Hang up the phone and call the station. I want officers over there to go through everything." He gave her a few more instructions and somehow managed to navigate the wet, slippery road as the rain beat down. And he disconnected. Owen strained his eyes to see as the wipers swished steadily back and forth. "There," he pointed at the red and blue lights that cut through the dismal rain. Lockhart came to a screeching halt behind the small sedan, almost identical to his own. Both men jumped out of the vehicle and ran toward the river with the dog leading. They saw blood on the bank and multiple sets of footprints. Then they heard a man's voice yell for help. They descended the muddy bank following the river's edge. Stuck out at the far edge of the bank, clinging to a fallen tree, was Rancic. "Hang on," Lockhart yelled. "Help is coming. Where's Ava?" For a brief moment, Rancic lifted his hand in the air and pointed downriver before he quickly tried to grasp back on. "Hold tight. I have backup coming," Detective Lockhart yelled over the roar of the river, but Rancic couldn't. He lost grip and slipped under. "She's in the river," Owen exclaimed, his voice cracking with terror. "I've got to find her. I can't lose her." As he and Gunnar ran further down, searching, Owen knew it was a long shot. The river flowed faster at the curve where the stone river dumped into it, and Owen was swamped with a sense of hopelessness. Gunnar ran down the bank, following the river's edge, slipping and sliding on the muddy bank. Owen had lost sight of Detective Lockhart and vehicles as the river bent and headed backward towards civilization, but he didn't dare slow. Gunnar was onto something. The German shepherd let out a sharp bark, and that's when he saw her. A sapling hung low, bent toward the river, tethered tenuously. Ava clung to it. His heart hammered as he maneuvered precariously out of the edge of the wet earth. He was torn between rushing to her and cautiously watching where he stepped. One wrong move, and he would end up in the river with her. "Ava!" he yelled over the rushing water. "Hang on!" He saw her head snap up, a wave of relief and hope mixed with her expression. Ava's gaze didn't waver as she struggled to hang on to the sapling despite the strong current. His eyes scanned the area around him. A long, sturdy branch hung over the riverbank to his right, jutting above the water. It wasn't much, but it might be enough. He stumbled toward it, using the little bit of solid ground he could find. The branch was just out of reach, but he could stretch and grab it. His fingers brushed the rough bark, and he yanked it down, testing its strength. "Ava!" he called again, his voice trembling. "Grab the branch!" When she saw the branch, a spark of determination flickered in her eyes. She stretched her arm out, struggling against the current, her fingers brushing the wood, but she could only reach so far. That's when he noticed her wrists were handcuffed together. He'd have to do better. He'd have to get it closer. He eased further out, bending the branch with his weight. Her hand closed around it. With a final burst of determination, she let go of the sapling. With all her strength, with all the strength he could muster, he began pulling her toward him, inch by agonizing inch. The current tugged at her body, but together, they fought it. He pulled her with everything he had, and Ava used what little energy she had left to kick against the current. Finally, with one last determined effort, he yanked her within reach. Gunnar sank his teeth into the fabric of her shirt, his grip like iron as he pulled. Together they fought against the current, hauling her toward the riverbank, the water surging violently around them. With a final heave, they dragged her to solid ground, their bodies trembling from the strain. Gasping for breath, they collapsed onto the cold, wet earth, the deafening roar of the river pounding in their ears. For a moment, neither moved. They lay there, shaking with relief and exhaustion. He pulled Ava into his arms, her head resting against his chest, and held on tight. Gunnar sniffed around them, licking their faces and hands, ecstatic to have them on land. And that's when Detective Lockhart discovered them, on the treacherous edge of the muddy riverbank, desperately clinging to each other as the mighty Cumberland River raged by. And that is the end of the chapters, minus the epilogue. Mel, one hell of a story you got here. One hell of a story. I'm going to read the epilogue on my own, but I want to encourage you all, if you have not checked out Melissa's work, this book or others, please go to this link and at least take a gander, okay? I typically only read books from authors that are still living, that are not necessarily new to the scene, but aren't the kind of authors that have been signed by agents or have, massive book deals or, New York Times bestsellers, that kind of stuff. I've written books myself. I know what it feels like to get your work out there, to try and get it noticed, to put the time in, the energy, the effort. It's a lot. It is so much. It's too much. So this is my way of not only providing entertainment for you guys, but also to try and help somebody else get their work noticed. I tell authors I never guarantee any sales of their books except for the one that I buy, because I do buy my own copy. But I will promote the book as long as we're reading it. And in my Discord, I will have this same link in there so that if anyone wants to go back and see what's been read, the link will still be there. So please check it out. See for yourself if there are other stories, or even this one, because I realize not everybody's heard everything all the way through. So yeah. But Mel, thank you so much for letting me read this. I had a blast with this story. I thought you did a great job. It's a captivating story. I was interested the whole way through, and I can't wait to see what else you do. So, bravo, congrats, well done, much deserved. Loved it. I'm glad we took the extra 50 minutes or so to keep going. Oh, absolutely. I'm honored. Thank you for letting me read it. I'm glad that our mutual friend connected us so that we could make this happen. It's been great. So here's what we need to do for next time. Starting on Tuesday, I'm going to be picking a book from this Sherlock Holmes collection. These are hardback. It's a collection that I've wanted, and they look fantastic. And again, normally I don't read the classics because anyone can read those, etc., etc. But we've read a few Sherlock-inspired stories, and it's just given me the itch to want to read one of Conan Doyle's books. But I'm going to let you guys decide what that book is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to post a poll of sorts in my Discord, and we basically have until Tuesday to figure it out. And I'll let you guys decide which one we're going to read. So if you're not in my Discord yet, please feel free to join, and I'll probably put something in probably in book recommendations, because we don't have anything in that channel yet. I have a Discord now thanks to Kat. She was amazing and set up a Discord for me. I was hesitant at first, but I'm in. I did it. Well, she did it. I just said yes. But yeah, so I will post the book titles in there. You guys can react to whichever one you want me to read, and then we'll go from there. So that's the plan for what will be happening starting Tuesday. So yeah, these are good books. It's a nice little collector's case. It's pretty. All right, so keep a lookout for that. I'm so excited for some Mr. Holmes. Yes. As am I. All right, in the meantime, or right now, I should say, I am going to find us a warm body to go say hello to. Feel free to copy the raid message. And let's see, who do we have online right now? I want to say thank you again as well for the amazing raid. That was just wonderful. Thank you, Mama House Gaming, for suggesting me and for them to come over. That was fantastic. I'm going to find a warm bed to curl up in. Also a good idea. I'll be doing that too very soon. And thank you for the resubs as well. Let's see. All right, let me look at the list here. Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got? Man, there's a lot of people online. Sheesh. Oh, I know who we're gonna go raid. I haven't raided these guys in a while. Although it's just one of them right now, but they're playing RimWorld. Here There Be Monsters. They're a couple that streams. Mercy, sorry, the main guy is the one that does most of the streaming, but his wife Pixie will join, and they'll play games together with communities as well. But yeah, so anyway, we'll be back on Tuesday with one of the books from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's collection. So, yeah. Which one it ends up being, I don't know. That's up to you guys. So until then, as always, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have an amazing night.